Hi everybody, my name is Emily Rondell and I'm with the community learning team here at the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. I wanted to come to you guys through video today just to talk to you about some of the subtle and sometimes overlooked signs of spring that we see around us here at this time of year in the Toronto area. I know a lot of us think of flowers blooming when we think of spring, and often when we picture that, we picture big, colorful blossoms maybe coming up from our flower beds or maybe carpeting a forest floor. But before any of that happens, a much more subtle, yet really important and beautiful flowering event happens. And that has to do with the flowering of our early flowering trees. So what I did is I just went kind of into my backyard and onto my street, and I collected two tree flowers that I'm gonna share with you today that maybe you'll be able to look for in your yard or on your street in the coming couple of days or weeks. So both of the ones that I collected today are actually in the maple family. And what's cool about both of these different species is that they both flower just before the leaves on the trees actually come out. And that can be a little bit unusual. So you can see these kind of bare looking trees, no leaves on them, but suddenly they're kind of covered in what from far away looks like a bit of a fuzz. And that fuzz are the emerging flowers along the branch. So I'll start by explaining this one to you. I collected this twig, I hope you guys can see it clearly, from a silver maple tree. Silver maples are common street trees throughout the GTA. They grow in forests and ravines as well. And you can see here that they have these really beautiful bright magenta blossoms, and they're really stunning when a whole tree is covered in them. And what I think is really cool is, you can see here that there's these kind of red magenta filaments, but they don't have any yellow dust or pollen on them. And from that, I can tell that this is a female flower. And what's really cool about a lot of silver maples is that there'll be both these sorts of female flowers and also other male flowers that produce pollen on the same tree. So it's really fun to kind of look at a silver maple tree and see if you can find both the male and female blossoms at this time of year. However, silver maples occasionally like to switch it up, and sometimes a tree will just only have female blossoms or male pollen-bearing ones as well. So there's really no rules. You can have a tree that's entirely female, entirely male, or a little bit of both. The tree that I collected this twig from seemed to me to be entirely female, although I didn't have a chance. Some of the branches were pretty high up. So that's the silver maple. Look for this one. It's just beautiful at this time of year. The second flower, this is actually a male flower of a different maple species. This is from a Manitoba maple or a box elder. And this is a really fascinating tree. It's considered invasive and not native to the Toronto area, which means that before, in this case, European settlers coming from the prairie provinces, farmers from the prairies brought it with them, this wasn't a part of our natural environment. You didn't see Manitoba maple / box elder anywhere in the GTA. And however, in spite of that, it was planted really, really widely decades ago as street trees, because Manitoba maple or box elder grows really quickly and in all sorts of different conditions. However, people kind of learn to not appreciate the Manitoba maple pretty quickly for a couple of reasons. One is that it reproduces often by these underground suckers. So if you do plant one or you do have one, you may find that you actually have more Manitoba maples on your property very quickly than you bargained for. And another thing about them is they do grow quickly, but they're really brittle. So in ice storms or other big weather events, you'll find that Manitoba maples do tend to crack and fall over, and they can be kind of dangerous to have on properties that way. But in terms of their flowers, just like the silver maple, they do flower before the leaves have come out. And this is kind of cool. I showed you a female flower from the silver maple, but this is actually a male flower. And it's a little early to see the pollen on it yet, but the brown structures that you see within the flower will eventually kind of expand and spill out over the blossom, and the pollen bearing structures will kind of look like this little tuft of filaments that all carry pollen on them. So we have a male flower, a female flower from a box elder or Manitoba maple, and a female flower from a silver maple here. So I just want to invite you to look for both of these kind of early flowering tree species, in your neighborhoods, in your yard, anywhere that you can get out to at the moment, and try and identify new types of flowering trees too, and see if you can figure out what a tree is from its flowers. It's a really fun challenge at this time of year. And as you're looking for them and thinking about them, look for some of the early pollinating insects that rely on these food sources from these trees as well. Because these are some of the early flowering species that we have in this area, we find that some of the emerging insects, pollinators, bees, moths, things like that, often rely on the food sources from these pretty heavily. So they're really important and we don't often think about them. So happy tree hunting and hope to talk to you soon. Thanks so much.